All right, so we're talking about Epstein and the Maxwell thing, right? Hey, wait a
Well,
minute.
We are
I
live.
just think it's funny how this filing was filed literally within 24 hours of after the last CNA stream. And howdy, folks. Sorry. Uh, yeah, it's a brief writ that she filed. Basically, she's saying that the federal government needs to abide by the plea deal that Epstein signed, saying that, you know, when he went to court over similar charges, that his, co-conspirators, named and unnamed, would not be prosecuted for some of those crimes. So she's saying that the federal government needs to abide by that deal and should not have even charged her with the crime because,
And
well,
which
the
of them?
2007 Epstein case, the one where he got that.
No. I'm saying who filed? When were all these charges actually filed? I
Which
mean,
one? Sorry, against who?
well, no, you're talking about this deal Epstein made. Sorry, I'm not.
Yeah,
Like I said, I'm out. Okay,
that was
so
in 2007.
okay, that was in two. So this goes. All right. So this Rich she's talking about, this thing she's talking about was all the way back to seven.
The deal that was 2007. The writ she filed was last Monday.
What plea deal did he have back in 07?
Okay.
I'm just sorry, I don't remember this popping up more than about 8-9 years ago.
Okay. Basically, he was accused of doing bad things with girls.
Oh, back then.
He got a really, really sweet plea deal, basically saying that, he could go to jail for a short period of time, but still be on a work release program where he could leave and work during the day and then go to jail at night type thing.
Yeah, I'm familiar with it.
And the actual charges had almost nothing to do with the crimes he had committed. It was basically a way of okay. Essentially, he said that, he had this list of very powerful people saying that if you guys charge me, all this is going to come out. So they charged him with a lesser crime, and that was part of the deal. And part of the things he said was, you can't go after me again for any sort of sex trafficking or anyone who may named and unnamed that is part of his organization.
This was 2008.
And
I said 2007 because that's when the charges were originally filed.
7-8, sorry.
But yeah, I don't think the deal was solidified until 2008 or 2009.
And somebody signed off on that.
Yes.
The Attorney General of Florida, I believe.
Yes, a guy who is basically nowadays considered extremely corrupt. Now, Maxwell, because I can't remember how to pronounce her name correctly. I'm just going to say Maxwell.
Who gives a fucking shit?
Chris, can you turn on your camera just so I can make sure that's you? Okay, just want to make sure.
Hey, Chris.
Yep. No. Hey, what's going on, guys?
So
first off, please.
So the writ that she filed, and that's the image I used for this the stream. She's saying that, hey, the federal government needs to abide by that deal that it made with Epstein, meaning that she should not have been charged with those crimes.
Oh, yeah.
Even though, and this is from my understanding, some of the crimes that she committed was committed after that plea deal had been made. Meaning, like, if you commit a plea deal saying that, hey, you can't charge me with murder because I'm, going for I'll plead to manslaughter. You can't. The federal government or any state government can't go back and charge you for murder again.
Yeah.
But if you go out and murder another person, that's a whole new case. You can be charged with murder again.
Yes.
So, but she's also saying, hint, hint, same thing that Epstein did. If you guys don't do this, or if you guys do this, and I will work with the federal government to prosecute other people to make sure that the Supreme Court hears my case. So she's basically doing the same thing Epstein did. I have a list of people. I am willing to go on record and, testify under oath that these people did bad things. Yes, I did bad things, but you weren't supposed to charge me with crimes anyway. And of course, the last thing on her thing, which really pissed me off, was the whole, we need to keep the integrity of plea deals intact.
Well,
Because it is estimated up to 56% of all plea deals are against innocent people. So when she says the integrity of plea deals, it pisses me off because plea deals are not don't have a high integrity level as far as I'm concerned.
I got a question. How come nobody asked or required a list for Bill Cosby? How come nobody asked for a list when Kevin Spacey? Can we just take the witnesses' testimony?
Hold on.
Hey, don't drag different cases into this.
Yeah, one because we have the Fifth Amendment. Cosby, if he were to provide had provided a list, would have of his victims, that would have been against the Fifth Amendment. But Epstein is the one who volunteered his list because he wanted to say, "Oh, I may have done bad things, but I also can implicate a bunch of other people who did bad things too."
So I thought this was funny. I was watching, I've been kind of in between TV shows, and there was this episode of Evil that I was watching that had to do with this woman who could talk to God. And so, of course, the guy asked questions. One of the people was like, did Epstein really unalive himself, or was it a government? And he goes, yeah, he unalived him. Basically, did Epstein unalive himself? And then I was like, yes. I was just like, really? I was like, okay. We got him saying it on a TV show, so now we know for sure. Anyway, just a little humor to lighten the mood.
But remember, that's why we were able to charge Epstein a second time, was he didn't stop doing the crimes he was supposed to have stopped doing.
Yeah, that's not double jeopardy. That's saying double jeopardy is being charged with the same crime twice. Now, there is an exception to that can happen. That's
sometimes it's in light of new evidence, but yes, there are many exceptions.
What I'm saying is, in the military, you can be subject to double jeopardy because actually the military and the civilian side are considered different sovereignties.
Well, yeah.
Same with criminal and civil cases. Sorry for interrupting you.
So, for example, say most common thing, somebody gets a DUI, right? Let's say they whatever the thing is, they go to classes or whatever, and they get their license back after, a month or two, right? Well, the military side has said your base driving privileges have been revoked for a year. No ifs, ands, or buts. So it doesn't matter if you get your driver's license back and you pass the program. It's like, nope, you are fucked for a year, no matter what.
Well, yeah, but I mean, I think that's one thing people don't understand about the military side of things is that, again, that's why if I go to break a law, I would wait to break a law until I was out of the military, because if you've ever seen a military prison, the rules in there are much different. If you say, wait a minute, I'm not allowed to watch TV, or my room's a little too stuffy, you might get somewhere in a civil prison. If you're in a military prison, they look at you and say, shut the fuck up and sit where you're at, because that you don't have, again, if you haven't been in the military, you don't understand. They give you a piece of paper. and it tells you all sorts of nifty little things like where you're going to go, your MOS, things like that, and where you're going to go to your basic at, and in there how long you're going to be in. But there's also this little thing in there, this little clause in there that basically says you have no rights. You are no longer, you no longer have the freedom of speech. You no longer have the freedom of, this. You don't have. Yeah, I mean, basically, what it basically says is we own you, and we make the rules now, and what we say goes. And if you disobey those rules in any way, we now control the punishment.
Well, the key word in there, Chris, is lawful orders.
Well, that's yes. Well, oh yeah. Oh no. I mean,
I'm just
and
you'll hear.
No, yeah. No, you're absolutely right. There's lots of people out there that always want to bring up these stupid things of, well, if they tell you to go do this or they'll do this. Like, well, for instance, one of my drill instructors, he basically would use the term of, we are not going to be able to tell you that if you don't go and shoot XYZ people, that we can go and pull your family out of their house and kill them. We can't do that because that's one, coercion. Two, they're not allowed to do things like that to get us to do things. But if they say, listen, we're going to Afghanistan because we have a military conflict going on there and you have to go. If you don't go, we're going to throw you in to Leavenworth for 6 months or something like that until you decide to go.
Yeah, you miss
that's okay.
Yeah, missing a movement, big deal. Big.
Oh yeah. Well, one you go. It's called AWOL, absent without leave, and all that. I mean, yeah. Oh,
well, it starts out as well. Nah, I'm not going to go into the military jargon. But anyway, back to the Epstein thing. I was just bringing up the double jeopardy part there. But yes, you know what I'm talking about, Chris.
Yeah, I mean, it sucks. It's something you have to learn.
We willingly. It's like we used to say when I was in the Marine Corps. USMC. You sign the motherfucking contract.
Exactly. And the thing is, what I always say now, and what I've tried to let my son know, and other people who are young going in, and people that even after I got out that were older, that went in for reserve and stuff, I'd look at them and say, listen, I told certain people directly. I looked at a friend of mine who's my age, and he went in he was 32 or something. He was going in, reserve or something like that. I looked at him, I pulled him aside, and he was getting ready to get shipped. And I took him outside at his going away party, and I looked at him and I said, "Hey," I don't think you got what it takes to do this. And he looked at me and I said, "I'm not." I looked at him and I said, "No, I am not trying to be mean to you." He said, "You don't understand what you're going in for." And he's like, "Well, the recruiter told me, it's going to be really easy because this is." I looked at him and said, "Listen." I said, "Listen, there's your problem. You're listening to the recruiter." I said, "I've been through this. I remember when I was 18 and they told me all this great stuff. You're going to get this, you're going to go here, you're going to do this, all the fun stuff, but they won't tell you the time that they'll say, we got called to go out to Iraq to escort UN troops into palaces to look for weapons of mass destruction. We didn't get shipped because this was one of the many times that Saddam Hussein let people come in at the last second. We were all ready to get on the transport to fly out there. And we were handed a blank piece of paper and told, you need to write down, your name, you hereby bequeath all of my belongings to these people. And when they hand you that piece of paper and that happens, you start realizing, wait a minute, they have the power to do anything that can take my life away. I have no say in anything now. And at 18, I don't think it's fair for them to use military recruiters. They need to have somebody that can sit you down and say, listen, we need you. We want you here. You said you wanted to go, but we need to kind of give you a few things here that you need to understand. Well, and something, but I just think it's kind of funny that we allow a system that literally is allowed to full out lie to you to get you in. In any other sense of, and again, going with the name with the military, it's like this. Any other thing in this country, there are laws to protect people against things like that. You can't go buy a car and
Okay,
people say, "Hey,
hold on.
this car is going to
I
get
want to
you."
interrupt for a second. I want to
Yeah,
interrupt
yeah.
for a second. Sorry. Because we're getting a little bit off topic, but I want to ask
That's
this.
fine. That's my fault.
I talked to a military recruiter back in the day. I
Yeah.
was unfortunately not allowed to join after
Yeah.
issues I'm not going to go into.
Okay.
But the military recruiter, there was an Army and a Navy one right
Mm-hmm.
literally across the street from the high school.
Yeah.
Okay.
Now, how do you guys feel about, I'm just going to ask that quick question since you guys are both military guys. How do you guys feel about them being right across from schools like that?
I don't care.
ROTC's
I don't.
already in school, dude. So what's the point?
Well, ROTC is, and I mean, and they can have programs within the school. They can do after-school programs tied to the school. They can do a lot of things. I don't have an issue with it. I'm not saying I have an issue with the recruiters.
Okay, I'm going to, again, interject because my daughter's in ROTC, so is her boyfriend.
Yeah, okay.
Okay. I don't know much about either of those programs, but like we said, a recruiter's office, I don't see that as any different than any other office building being across the street. I mean, they're not limited by the distance rules like alcoholic places or in legal places, dispensaries and stuff. They got to be so far away.
Now, most of them.
Okay, but let me. As I said, I wanted to interject about the ROTC. I've been informed by my daughter that they are now on their third commander in just her freshman year. So they went through 3 commanders her freshman year.
Okay.
Okay.
And that's because the first 2 were found out to be diddling some of the girls.
Hey, what we're gonna. I say this about a lot of things. Let me put my 2 cents on this part. No, wrong, totally wrong. I'm not going to say otherwise, but there's an issue, and I think goes for high school in general. You realize a lot of women and men who get out of college for teaching, who are 23, 24, get put in the environment where they're working in a high school. And I'm not saying that I know plenty of people who dated 19, 18, 17-year-olds when they were 22, 23, 24, because there's not that much of a difference. Now, is it right or wrong? Okay, that's between, I think at 17, if it starts becoming more of a thing between the person they're dating, and family. And that's something that a 17-year-old, if they want to date somebody over 21, if they want to date somebody 23, 24, they need to go to their parents and say, listen, I'm a 17. I understand this is not in the eyes of the law correct, but if the parents give the blessing, it's supposed to be okay. We'll go. I mean, again, I think, well, I think the issue is when you put a 24-year-old in an environment where you're going to have 16, 17, 18-year-olds, they should be able to control themselves. But
especially when you're one military.
I'll give you another.
But also, hold on.
Hold on a second, Mike.
But I need to add, the commanders we're talking about are guys that are either currently in the military or retired military. So we're talking guys that are in their 50s and 60s.
Yeah,
yes, some of them, and yes, but the thing is you can't control what a person themselves will do. You can only go by what you know. Listen, we find out lots of things later on. The guy that just shot the family that was hiking or whatever, he was a former Kansas State teacher, or not Kansas State, but he was a high school teacher in the state of Kansas. And so this guy was in a high school working, or middle school, I can't remember which, and he ends up being a murderer. Well, they didn't know that ahead of time, so now people are questioning what their background processes are, and they're defending themselves, saying, "Listen, we did everything we could. We did everything we're supposed to do. We fingerprint the guy. The guy has no background, no history of violence, none of this stuff, but they're still being questioned on it." because now we know something about this guy. Listen, these military people, whether or not anything may have been looked past, because yes, we know all the time on basis, sometimes they'll bring in women who say that people have had some sort of SA. I'm just going to say XSA to keep it from positive impulse. They come in and they say, "Hey, this colonel just did this," and they'll kind of sit the girl down. And I've heard it happen before. They'll say, "Hey, maybe you took it the wrong way. Maybe this isn't exactly what happened," and they try to downplay it. So we may not know if that ever happened with these people, but sometimes these people go through their whole military career and never do this stuff, and then it just shows up. I mean, and that's not just military, that's anybody out there. So I'm not really sure if we can say that it's wrong because these people turned out to be horrible. Yes, 2 in a row, it sucks, but it does happen.
Well, I'll give you an example of that actually, Chris. When I was in boot camp at Hollywood,
Go ahead.
Anyway, so we had this recruit Johnson, and he was one of the most liked guys in our platoon in the recruit base. We all liked him. His father died. They gave him special disposition to actually go to the funeral and still come back and not get recycled. So we've gone 12 weeks with this guy. We're about to head to the Reaper, right? Tomorrow. And or the Crucible tomorrow, and we're out doing morning PT, and the company gunny comes over and says, "You see those cops over there? They're arresting a recruit." And we get back to our barracks and find out that it was Recruit Johnson they were arresting because before he joined the military, before he was trying to join the military to hide because he had been an accessory to murder. And now nobody knew that at the time. When they ran the background check, there was nothing going on because guess what? The body got found after the fact. And the guy who murdered him, threw him under the bus, and he just confessed that he did it, that he was an accomplice in it. So, the guy everybody liked the most turned out to be an accessory to murder.
Yeah, I mean, and that's the thing. And again, that can be for anybody.
Yeah, 13 weeks I'm hanging out with this guy.
Yeah, I mean, and so I understand the people who make these questions. They're valid questions. It's just at that point the military can only put their hands up and go, "Listen, we've done what we can." And they'll admit lots of times. Trust me, the military is not afraid to admit, "Yeah, okay, so we missed some stuff." They're kind of cavalier about that. They're kind of like, "Well, I mean, we looked, but we didn't see anything." But they can't be to blame for it. Listen, sometimes you just got to look at the person who did it and say, "Listen, you're the one to blame. If you kept this quiet all these years or something, or nobody said anything until then, oh well." And it's horrible because, again, going back into this, we live in this world where we put people who normally may not be into a situation. So you put a 50-year-old who's around a bunch of 18, 16, 17-year-olds, whatever, and you put them in a situation that people like you and me go into, and we don't have any issue. My son is 23, my other one's 20, and so, high school wasn't that long ago for them. So I'm not 50, but I'm in my 40s. And so, they were still in when I was in my 40s, walking around a high school because I had to go get them on something, or I had to go to, pick them up, or any one of those things. I never would have done anything like that. Why? Well, I just won't. That's me. But somebody else gets tempted by that, whatever the reason is. I don't know. I mean, go figure. But so, again, I don't think the military is to blame for a person's actions, that person in general, but they did the right thing. They didn't let it. Listen, the first accusation they pulled. They didn't wait for. Well, let's look into it. Let's do an internal investigation. Let's look into it and see if there's any merit to this. they just pulled him and said, "We're done. You're done." And whatever happens to him happens as it gets found out.
Hey,
All right.
Chris,
He'll be put
did
on.
you guys have a Stark unit? Did you guys
I'm gonna-
have Stark members?
Well, hold on.
I couldn't hear you. Sorry.
Sorry, I want to get closer back to the subject we were talking about. But
Yeah, I had a question. I had a question about the subject, by the way.
go ahead.
With the current administration, who constantly has claimed, not the person himself, but multiple people in the administration has claimed this is the most transparent administration in the history of America. Nobody has yet to find out who exactly circumvented the law to move her from a maximum security prison to a minimum security prison. I mean,
Who?
nobody
What?
has.
Huh? What?
When Glissing,
Did anybody understand what he just said?
Yeah, Maxwell was moved from a high security prison to a minimum security prison, which her status prohibits her from doing that. Somebody in the Department of Justice over circumvented that law to have her moved. And somebody asked, what's her name, that press secretary, Levitt, who did this? She goes, "I'll get back to you." Nobody has followed up on this. Who circumvented the law to move her?
Hold on. People have already looked into that. It's basically because they're trying to give her as within her constitutional rights to have as much contact with her lawyers as possible for this case that she's working on.
And also,
that's basically it. It happens all the time.
Again,
it just looks bad because sorry for interrupting you, Chris. It just looks bad right now because one, of everything that's been going on, and two, because usually they say who signed the writ, or sorry, not the writ, who signed the order, and this time they're not saying who signed it because a lot of people don't want to be affiliated with this. So they're doing as they're told.
Why are they scared to be affiliated with it?
Well, it'll be interesting whenever it does come out. But the question is, who's on the list and for what? That'll be interesting.
Well, that's the thing. We don't know. We know large portions of it. Hold on. One victim who unfortunately unalived herself not too long ago is one of the few that said that they gave consent to release, to unseal the records relating to them.
Yeah.
That's one of the ones that named Alan Dershowitz, Trump, and a couple other ones.
I think.
Why does that name sound familiar? Who's Alan Dershowitz?
Alan Dershowitz. That was one of the guys. Yeah. And the other thing, you got to remember, and I just want to make sure, because again, I have my own issues with the Trump administration and stuff. Trust me, but there's lots of stuff I'll defend them on, or I'll defend their administration on. One thing is I'll defend them right now on is that you're calling this administration out for moving her from maximum to minimum for whatever reason. Doesn't matter. Every administration has stuff like this going on.
Yeah.
And most of the time it just isn't pronounced. People don't like Trump. They're going to point out every little thing that they think points to something being secret or some sort of backroom deal. It happens in every administration if you look. And so to call that out.
This happens all the time. Hold on. That's what I was trying to point out when I said this happens all the time. Now, like 90% of the time, you can look online and see what judge or what bureaucrat signed the order.
Now,
this particular time, that order has not been released. But that's not necessarily a shady thing, because I've said only about 90% of them are released, but that still means 10% aren't.
Well, one of the biggest things we got a problem with going on in this country, and we have for a while now, is the other side wanting the other side's administration, hoping and praying that everything they do fails so they can say, see, that side sucks, we're the side that works. It's like, you're Congress, you're supposed to be fucking working together for the people of America.
Absolutely.
not fucking whining and bitching about which party you're a part of. So but here's the thing. Here's the thing. And this is one of those things I really, when I was doing my teaching of Civil War.
Hey guys, I'll be back on.
All right.
One of the things I did like in the Confederates' Constitution was no omnibus bills, and the president had line item veto. Now, the problem we've ran into, and I don't know how long this has been going on, is these big ass motherfucking omnibus, chronibus bills where it's like you got one title on the damn thing, and then there's like shit in there that doesn't even have anything to do with the program. And it's kind of like I'm one of those people where I'm like, what's wrong with a one-page bill? And I don't mean it just one page. You know what they mean? Like one topic. You know, okay, we're working on infrastructure for our interstates.
Yeah,
Okay.
the problem. I get what you're saying, NB. The problem that you're talking about has to do with the fact that we need other states to agree. Say we just wanted to, like clean up the Mississippi River. Let's just say something like that.
Yeah.
Well, we know that all the states that along the Mississippi River will probably vote yes on that. But why is Florida going to say, yes, we want to vote to clean up the Mississippi River? Why should we allocate tax funds that are going to go to help those states, but not my state? So let's add something in there saying, hey, we're going to clean up the Mississippi River, but we're also going to give, extra money to fix, this highway in Florida. That's how you'll get our votes.
Well, I'll give you one right now.
And that's how these bills become these massive bloated things.
Where's your humanity at? Don't you love your neighbors? I could pull up all that liberal hippie woke.
Yeah, I know, but I'm just saying.
But
what happened.
No, I know what you're doing. I know what you're saying, Mike, and you're 100% right. Everybody's got to get their little piece of pork in that, or actually, I wouldn't even say piece of pork. I'd say piece of fat. It's like, hey, we got the pork here. Now we got to add all this fat to make everybody happy just to fucking sign one bill saying, hey, we want to clean up the Mississippi, but we got to also help Florida, help this. Is like, why not just do a separate bill for that?
I'll be right back.
Speaking of, I actually did some research. Do you guys remember when the quote unquote big beautiful bill was being argued in Congress, and the Alaskan representative wanted an exemption? Do you know why she wanted that exemption? I found out she was actually protecting her constituents, because when this bill passed, she was trying to say that anybody who received government subsidies like SSI will be exempt from receiving their yearly stipend from the oil company. She wanted to protect seniors. She wanted to protect disabled people. She wanted to make sure they still got their bonuses from the oil company. Now they will no longer receive bonuses from the oil company. This is what she was actually helping the seniors and the people. I actually found this out like, wow, this is actually good. She wanted that line item. Some things are good, some things are bad. When you actually look into it, why they're actually trying to do this, you can actually understand this.
Allahu, I realize you're passionate. Let's give Captain MKG a chance to say something, because he's been quiet the entire time and we haven't even said hello. So, hey, how you doing, Cap?
Hey,
and he's not bald.
What? I'm not that bald.
No, he's growing his hair out, I've noticed.
Well, I've just been lazy. Good morning.
That's normal, but still.
Yeah, well, if you've been lazy, cool. Why haven't you hit me up for a game of Risk?
Because my brother had his second kid, so being the good uncle and godfather, I've been hands
Okay, family. You could just say family.
Contact.
Family trumps anything. No pun intended.
So, what is your did you hear when I was talking about what the Maxwell writ was, and your opinion on that, or no?
No, I've been in and out, so I've had probably the tail end of it. I do understand that she's been moved to a different facility, and that there are some negotiations going on with what she can provide in terms of would you call it?
So basically, the bare bones of the writ and it's only like 2 pages. So if you search the title of from the thumbnail I used, you'll be able to find it easily. It's a PDF document. It's basically saying, hey, you guys agreed to this plea deal with Epstein. I'm asking you that I'm telling you that you should not have charged me with those crimes because of that plea deal, and that you need to abide by that plea deal to secure the integrity of plea deals in general.
Don't care, Dandelion.
And Danielle tried to help. Her name is Jelaine.
I don't care.
I don't care.
I'll still try to just call her Maxwell.
Yeah, I'll just call them the geek. I don't care.
So, and of course, I'm not a big fan of the plea deal system we have, even though without it, I know our courts would be bogged down even worse.
Well, can I say something here real quick about that, Mike? There is one thing I do not like about one thing I don't like about the plea deal system is it can be used as a leverage to get, okay, you're a guy, say you got busted for a crime. Okay, you actually didn't commit the damn crime, but your public defender and stuff is saying, well, if you go to court and you lose, you're looking at this amount of time. If you just plead down to it, you'll only get this. And, I mean, the idea, think about it. The idea is like, okay, I do this, I don't go to prison, or I risk going to court and go to prison. I mean, shit. I've been arrested plenty of times. I've never been to prison, but I mean, don't you have a brother that's in prison? Yeah.
Actually, I found out last night that he just got out. I don't know how he got out, but he got out about a couple of weeks ago, but we're not going to go into that right now. One of the reasons I'm against the way the plea deal system has worked is I had to plead guilty to a crime that I didn't commit as well. I was, then that was because the public defender and the state would not have gone into the effort to actually collect the right amount, the right evidence. And I didn't have the money for an attorney, a proper attorney, not just a public defender, who would have actually looked up the laws to find out that, no, I actually wasn't guilty because I don't know if I've talked about it this much on this stream, but I was once actually thrown in jail and arrested for felony weapons possession charge.
No way, you were? No, I'm just kidding.
for having ninja stars.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, that was bullshit, dude.
Yeah, and especially since I found out after the fact, because I had those ninja stars prior to the law going into effect, so they would have been grandfathered in, just like the guns I have. Those guns are grandfathered in. I'm still allowed to own them because they were grandfathered in when my dad bought them, and because he bequeathed them to me and I didn't purchase them, I am still allowed to own them. So that would have fallen same thing with those ninja stars, meaning that if my public defender had the time and the resources to actually investigate, I would have been found out that, and I wouldn't have I wouldn't have been able to find guilty. But I had to plea out because the public defender was just basically like, "You're fucked. I'm not going to do any work." So yeah, I had to plead guilty. Granted, it was for a much lesser crime because I made the judge laugh. But
it doesn't matter. You still got stuck. Would you get hit with a misdemeanor?
So I got hit with a misdemeanor, but it was, remember, 2 felony weapons possession charges. I could have been put away for at least 10 years.
Yeah, exactly. So it's kind of like, do you want to risk it and play the, yeah, that's one of the reasons. Yeah, exactly right there. So you see, you're a perfect example of what I was talking about there. Oh, just one other thing.
So in her writ, when she ended it with the whole, we need to protect the integrity of plea deals, I was like, oh, fuck you.
Yeah, I've seen people get screwed over on plea deals plenty of times. Like, a lot of my friends got screwed over on them.
And besides, that Epstein plea deal was a joke. Anyone who's ever read it will admit that it was a fucking joke.
Also, when we were talking about SA a little bit ago, one thing I did look up was when we were talking about the age of consent, the laws about 16, 17, 18, all that. Latino Slant.
What's up?
I haven't seen him in forever. But, it's interesting that California, has, as far as I can tell, the strictest on those laws because it says age of consent and there is 18, no exceptions.
There is one exception.
Well, basically, the way I read it, it was no exception.
Well, there's not just one. There's actually several exceptions, but there's one major one that I don't approve of. And California is a state that basically, if you get married in another country or in another state, whatever you do is regarding that marriage is legal in California if you move to California. So in the states where you can marry a 14-year-old,
you can't. It's the lowest age of consent anywhere in America is
16.
Is it 16? I thought 16, one of the states still had it at 14.
It's not 14. I looked all of them up. The minimum age, it's 16, 17, or 18.
And of course, my other phone just lost the internet.
14-year-old marriage is legally allowed in the United States.
Okay, so let's say the whole 16, which is still under the age of consent here in the U.S. or in California. If you do that there and then come back to California, it's still going to be upheld by California. It's not going to go under SA. So I'm just bringing that up.
Oh, no. Okay. I mean, I don't know how California, like I said, I just looked that up. Yeah, Mike, congratulations on that. Good job on your sales, by the way. I'm sure that's nice.
I'll talk more about that on the CNA.
Yeah.
So if it was up to us four on the panel right now, would you grant her writ for clemency?
No.
Nope.
Well,
No.
It's definitely a no on me because I don't think it falls under double jeopardy or the plea deal originally. What about you, Elihu?
I said no. Sorry.
Okay.
No, because the simple fact is whatever plea deal was made prior was,
Sorry, I took a token to clear my
was
screen.
for crimes priorly committed. These are crimes that were committed after the fact.
Well, some of them. Some of the ones that they did bring up in her court case are related to the ones from the 2007 Epstein case, because remember, the
she named
the court records for the victims were sealed, and we're talking about dozens of victims, and so far only one. I don't know exactly the numbers. I figured dozens is anywhere between 1 and 12 or 24 and 100. So, only one actually, consented to have her records released. And she was harassed so much by people that she unalived herself. So I don't see many other victims agreeing to it.
Yeah, it's weird. I didn't even know who this fucking guy was until all that shit went down. But then again, I don't
see. I remember we actually talked about this in my government class back in.
I had never heard of. Oh, you want to hear a funny joke? So, shit, what were we watching the other day? Oh, we were watching Lego movie, and it was like, we need to build things so ordinary,
Everything is awesome.
so strange that no sane person would ever create them. And my son was like Tesla? And I just started laughing my ass off. Because my son just came up with that. He just said that right after that. I was just like, because my son thinks Teslas are the ugliest looking vehicles on the planet.
And B, did you see the video, the short I posted last week or the week before? That was when I was advertising for one of my Lego movie items.
Yeah.
I did the clip from the Lego movie where she's talking about the backstory of everything. And I'm like, did Lego movie predict the future? Because they're like, president business. So basically he's a president and also a businessman.
Yeah.
He wants to build walls between worlds. Build that wall. He hires bad cop to start arresting the builders. ICE rating construction things. And I make the joke about it, saying like, did they predict the future? And one guy responds, no, they didn't predict the future because Trump wasn't elected until 2020.
What?
And I'm just
Well,
like,
that is true. Trump wasn't
But I'm
elected till 2020.
but I'm like, that's what I'm like. It's predicting the future. The movie came out in 2012. He did not realize. I guess he still thought that the Lego movie is a recent movie.
Oh,
But
man.
all right, so we are at 45 minutes. I'm gonna go ahead and end the stream. We'll be back in 15 minutes for the regular CNA stream, where we are not going to be talking about SA or Patricia Files
Nerd
or
chat.
any other politics.
It's all nerd, geek, and dweeb chat.
Oh God, I
Yeah.
got a story. I got a story to tell you guys about my son. But when
CNA. Save for CNA.
yeah, no, I'm saving it for the CNA because I've been looking forward to this one.
All
All
right.
right, guys, see you in
See you
15.
soon, folks.
Later.